backstage at WCPW, and I am delighted to be joined by the legend of British wrestling, Doug Williams. Doug, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. Now, tonight you are facing another legend, Aron Stevens. The first time we've seen him over here. What are your thoughts and feelings going into this match?
Legend? Really? Aron Stevens? Let me tell you something, Jennifer. This is just another example of foreigners coming into our country and capitalising on the success of British wrestling. It's an absolute disgrace. Who's letting these guys in? And something else that gets my goat even more is our guys, British guys, going abroad and working over there. Do they not have any respect for the British scene? It's an absolute disgrace. And Aron Stevens, I'm going to send you back with your tail between your legs tonight.
Sorry to say this, but ironically, is that not what you did? You went overseas, you made a name for yourself over there.
Jennifer, the point is, now is a new era. A vote has been cast. Great Britain is the place to be. We are going to do things on our own. We are becoming great by ourselves, and we don't need these guys coming from America, Japan, Germany. It doesn't matter where they come from. They don't deserve a place here. Let's build our own wrestling community. Let's make ourselves great again.
Well, thank you very much, and best of luck tonight.
You're not going to need any luck. I'm Doug Williams, British Wrestling's #1 ambassador.
To ringside.
So an American hero, Kurt Angle, on his way to WCPW later this year. But here's a man who apparently seems to fancy himself as a British hero, Doug Williams.
Well, Doug Williams is not just a British hero, he's a British legend. And to be fair, Doug Williams has reached a point in his career where he's like, hold on a second, why have I spent 20 years building the UK wrestling scene for all of these imported stars to come over here and take all the high-paying main event positions? He went a little bit Doug Farage, a little bit Doug Trump. But, you know, it's given him an attitude and an edge, and he's going to have to put his money where his mouth is because he's wrestling Aron Stevens, the man formerly known in the WWE as Damien Sandow, and it might be one of his toughest challenges so far for Doug Williams.
So Doug Williams with a newfound chip on his shoulder. I never heard him express such, what should we call them, forthright political views.
It's that bloody Brexit, that's what it is. That Brexit, it caused a rift in the country, and we know what side Doug fell on.
Well, yeah, he seems to think it was a good thing.
And introducing his opponent.
He's part of the 52%, Dave.
You know, in terms of wrestlers, I'd say he's part of the 1%. He's so much better than almost anyone he faces, but that may not be true of this man. Aron Stevens, formerly known as Damien Sandow, on his way to the ring. And as we're hearing from our ring announcer, Stevens, with a lot of experience over in WWE. Williams obviously was in TNA for a while, so these are two of the most seasoned veterans you could hope to have here in WCPW.
Well, you know, there is an expression in professional wrestling about being an internet darling, and that means that the internet just loves you. However, most of those internet darlings, in inverted commas, don't get the platform of the biggest wrestling company in the world. But this guy was not only an internet darling, but he was a mainstream internet darling, meaning, Dave, that fans across the globe wanted to see more from Damien Sandow on a continuous basis. And now he is here in WCPW with no restrictions and an incredible in-ring competitor like Doug Williams. I'm excited.
Now going by his real name, Aron Stevens, going to face Doug Williams in an international showdown here. But it seems to be one that Williams resents.
Well, I tell you why, and I'll spell it out. Like, I started training at the same wrestling school as Doug Williams on the same weekend. I've known this guy for over 2 decades. And Doug Williams has wrestling fans, some of the biggest names in the world, people like CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, all looked at Doug Williams as a fan, as an inspiration. Does that make sense? And Aron Stevens was one of those people. And Doug Williams has to essentially share the spotlight, in his eyes at least, with people who grew up in their wrestling careers idolising his work across the world. It's kind of like how I feel about commentating with you. You know, it's nice to meet your fans, but you don't want to work with them.
I'm not a fan. We're certainly not friends, and I'm not a fan. I thought I'd been clear about this. I am, however, a fan of Aaron Stevens, and I think Doug Williams, if he can't channel this anger he seems to have about international stars coming over to WCPW, he could be in trouble if he takes his eye off the ball against this former WWE superstar.
Man, I tell you what, that's probably the most famous ring crew member we've had here in WCPW.
Hello, Jack the Jobber.
That's a fair point. I have to say, I'm going to make an observation here that can only come from my multi years of experience in professional wrestling, Dave. That's knowing the inside and the outside of the pro wrestling business in a way that only a former wrestler can do. It's time for me to use that knowledge and skill to point something out. What? Aaron Stevens is a lot taller than I thought he'd be.
That's it.
I'm just saying. I mean, that might have gone unnoticed, but he's pretty tall.
That is the kind of expert insight that WCPW are paying you so many thousands of pounds for, isn't it?
It's worth it. It's just the way I say it.
How much are we being paid the same, by the way?
I mean, who are they paying you?
We'll talk about that later. Stevens is playing to the crowd.
I told you, this is all part of you breaking into the wrestling business. It's what Aaron Stevens should be doing with Doug Williams. He should be paying Doug for the privilege.
What, to clean the ropes for him?
He's doing a good job. They come over here, clean our ropes, take all our ring crew jobs. That's what Doug's thinking. Look, you could that look right there.
It looks like he's chewing on a wasp. What is it with Doug Williams all of a sudden? And Williams, to this day, wrestles very regularly all around the world, picked up lots of injuries. I wonder if he's hit his head.
Well, I can tell you one thing, Doug, this week, he was almost not going to be able to do this match because while he was training, and Doug Williams, look at the size of his thighs, this guy could squat, trapped a nerve in his leg, and his leg's literally seized up for about 2 hours. And WCPW management said, look, do you still want to do this? And he said, I have a point to prove, I will be there. And Doug Williams is a man of his word, even if his word is somewhat mildly offensive and bordering on racist.
Not sure he wanted you to spill the beans on that. I hope Stevens didn't hear you. If he knows about that, he might focus on the leg. Anyway, a clean break from Stevens.
I don't think he can hear me from here. He may be tall, but he's not like telepathic. Not that being tall helps with being telepathic.
No, that didn't make any sense at all.
Well, it's just because his head's higher up, so larger frequency ranges can be. I don't know what I'm saying.
Can I change the subject for you?
Just do that, yeah. We'll pretend that never happened.
Yeah, one thing I do want to focus on a little bit here is that the winner of this will go on to face Big Damo. Now, we heard at the start of the show our general manager, Adam Pacitti, saying that despite Big Damo using the pile driver on Rampage at the end of Built to Destroy, a move that is banned here in WCPW, Pacitti is not going to strip Big Damo of the championship because he doesn't want to be the guy who goes down in history as the man who stripped the first ever WCPW champion.
I don't think he wants to be the man that goes to Big Damo and strips him of the belt. I think that's what it's about. How'd you tell Big Damo, I'm going to take your belt off you?
See, I think is that weakness from Pacitti? Doesn't he need to take a stand here and say, I made a rule, you broke it, you're disqualified?
Well, why don't you take the job of telling Big Damo he's stripped?
Go on, I'm not the general manager.
Big mouth, telling everyone how to do their job. You come over here, you tell everybody how to do their job. That's what Doug Williams is thinking.
I'm from here.
Well, I mean, you know the point I'm trying to make.
No.
He's telling those people in Newcastle, you come to this show, you tell me how to wrestle my match. All joking aside, Doug Williams is an incredible professional wrestler. Former Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling Champion. Former FWA Heavyweight Champion, defended that belt around the world. Former Noah Tag Team Champion, but Aaron Stevens is a World Cartwheel Champion. There you go.
Williams, Tag Team Champion in TNA as well,
TNA Tag Champion, TNA X Division Champion. I hadn't finished. The cartwheel distracted me. It was well executed.
You're easily distracted, aren't you?
You should be well executed. Look at that. Side head up there by Williams. Floats over. Textbook. Perfect. Doug Williams with an incredible judo background, Dave. You know, he was going to be selected for the Olympic judo team and decided to pick pro wrestling instead. That's a fact. For Britain, judo team for Britain, of course.
Of course, he's clearly very proud of his British heritage. That pride is bordering on something a little bit more sinister. As Williams takes a breather, Aaron Stevens still playing to the crowd, although I'm sure he's pleased that this WCPW crowd are so happy to see him. He's got to keep his eyes on Doug Williams.
Williams, don't forget, he's going to be going for the bomb scare knee drop and the Chaos Theory rolling German suplex with a bridge. I mean, when he first did that move, really Doug Williams shocked the wrestling world. It was so inventive, so unique. And I'm going to say something, Dave, that may be controversial. You'll be surprised to hear. I think Doug Williams is the man who pioneered bringing back the technical style of professional wrestling to independent wrestling. I honestly think he was one of the first guys to do it in Ring of Honor. He did it in King of the Indies, and this was just a guy who really, when he started doing it and doing it so well, your Daniel Bryans, your Austin Aries, your Chris Sabins, they all saw it and started to replicate it, and now it's improved the style, my God, the style of in-ring competition all across the globe.
I mean, I could argue that there's a little bit of irony that a man with the political views of Doug Williams has made a name for himself off the back of a rolling German suplex.
Hey, did you see the brilliance there of Doug Williams? He played Steve Linsky like a fiddle.
Well, he cheated.
He didn't. It was strategy. Well,
anyway, Stevens shot to the midsection of Williams. Williams is using that experience to send Stevens to the outside. I still want to know what you would do in Adam Pachiti's position with Big Damo. He used the pile driver on Rampage, has put Rampage out of action for an indefinite period of time as far as we know, and yeah, there doesn't seem to be any consequence.
I would have to lose about 6 stone of muscle and take a deep injection to be in Adam Pachiti's position. But let's say that happened and I was in his position, put my glasses on, I would look at Big Damo, I would weigh up the pros and cons, and I would run and let him keep the belt. How's that? Is that the answer you were looking for? It's logical.
You're unbelievable. All right, well, let me ask you a simpler question. If you're scared of Big Damo, what would you do with Adam Blompier, who seems to have masterminded this turn by Big Damo, whereby we thought Blompier was with Rampage and then Damo using the pile driver to beat him?
Well, I'm not going to hear anything be said, into the post, anything bad be said about Adam Blompier. I've said before, he's one of the greatest men to ever live on the internet. He is like a god amongst internet men.
He is a wart on the buttock of humanity.
I'm going to give you a thumbs down for that comment. And I'm going to unsubscribe to your commentary channel of audio.
What?
Yeah, it made sense in my head.
So you entirely understand how YouTube works. Williams rolling Stevens back into the ring.
How many subscribers have you got?
What do you mean how many subscribers?
Exactly. What Culture have got about 820,000.
I haven't got my own YouTube channel.
Well, there's a reason for
I
that.
haven't got any.
How many likes do you have on Facebook?
A few. I've got some Facebook friends.
Your mum and dad don't count. Anyway, let's not
mean all the time.
Let's not get distracted. Doug Williams now is really using the strength of his legs and the strength of his arms to forearm and stomp Aron Stevens. I mean, this guy is welcome to England.
All right, well, let me ask you this. If you're the tactical genius that Adam Blompier claims to be, who do you think you'd rather have your man Big Damo face, Williams or Stevens?
Oh, that's a complicated one.
Why?
Because they're both really good, obviously. But if I had to pick one, I'll tell you who I'd pick. I would pick Aron Stevens because that would be a very, very good first big title win to really stake my claim as being king of the mountain and not in a Jeff Jarrett kind of way. That comment was pure gold, not in a Jeff Jarrett kind of way, because that probably wasn't gold.
What?
It was a GFW joke.
But in there somewhere, I think there was a decent point, wasn't there? Which is that Stevens, if Big Damo can beat him, will have the scalp of a former WWE superstar under his belt.
I don't think he should scalp him, but I think he should definitely get a victory.
You're not good with metaphors, are you?
And now, Aron Stevens feeling this crowd. And they've been behind him. This crowd, they forget who helped lay the foundations of British wrestling. It was Doug.
Maybe they've forgotten, but that doesn't mean they can't have respect for Stevens, who's done a lot on the other side of the Atlantic.
All he needs is a good slogan for his campaign, Doug.
What campaign?
The message he's trying to promote.
The referendum's over.
Not to Doug, it's not. He's like one of those people that still think World War II's going on because they haven't had the internet or radio or newspapers. They found people like that on islands and
Given
stuff.
your earlier history of World War II about America showing up play, I think we should probably stop talking there about that, should we? Stevens won't be happy with you if he hears you saying that.
I dig Doug.
What?
I dig Doug. It's a slogan.
Are you going to be his campaign manager?
I'm just trying to map it out.
For a campaign that ended, what, 2 months ago? Anyway, Williams, jawbreaker on Stevens and sending him into the corner. Williams going to scoop him up, maybe going to set him up for that bomb scare. Williams is going to the top, but he's taking his sweet time about it. Williams up high. Oh my goodness! Well, we talked about the trapped nerve that Williams had in his leg. I think his leg seemed to buckle, and Williams landed on his head.
Dave, sorry, that just, wow. Yeah, I think you're right.
This might be over.
His leg just, my God, Doug landed directly on his head. We may have, look at the way his leg's crossed. It's that leg. It's like he had a trapped nerve earlier in the week, and if Doug Williams moves from that, all joking aside, if Doug Williams gets up from that, this guy is a machine. He's on his feet.
Whatever this crowd might be thinking about Doug Williams' recent political statements, we're all glad to see him back to his feet. But that was a scary moment. That trapped nerve in the leg coming back to haunt him.
Oh, God! The neck breaker, that's got to be all. And, Williams kicked out. My God. I mean, he landed on his head, and Stevens hit that epic neck breaker, and Doug's still going. Side Russian leg sweep attempt. Doug comes out.
I'm not sure if Williams has recovered from this yet, but trying to get back in the match.
Oh, that leg's gone. Look at that. And Steve Linsky, being a personal friend of Doug Williams for about the same amount of time I have, and this is a scary situation. And Doug will not quit. This guy, at this point in time, Doug just needs to let it go, but he will not be beat.
Well, that's an advantage, I guess, of having so much experience as Doug Williams does, is that even when you're concussed, as he may well be, you've got that instinct, that wherewithal to continue and to finish the match.
He's out on his feet. People are standing because they realise they're seeing something a bit bizarre here. And he's got.
Stevens got the legs hurt. Stevens! He got him! He got him! Aron Stevens is the #1 contender for the WCPW World Championship.
And I'm going to say it, that looked like a fast count from Steve Linsky, and it was kind of like a mercy kill. Linsky counted fast, but he had to, because Doug Williams was refusing to give up. But Stevens with a big win, and you know what that means? Stevens versus Big Damo for the WCPW heavyweight title, and that is an epic match. We need some help for Doug.
Williams certainly did not recover after that leg buckled and he landed on his head. Aron Stevens will face Big Damo for the WCPW World Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match.
Oh, hang on. What?
No, I can take care of this one. Ladies
Oh, for goodness sake.
and gentlemen. No, you're too kind. I love you too, I really do. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me, please, to announce the winner and soon to be the next victim of Big Damo, the #1 contender.
Oh, the Damo's there! A low blow from our WCPW champion.
Well, that's the end of that family line, Dave. That was brutal. Adam Blompier is just a genius. Talk about stealing the spotlight.
Spoiler, in 2 weeks' time, your winner, and still, what comes of pro wrestling heavyweight champion, Big Damo!
Blompier's so pleased with himself.
BX reigns supreme.
As if that's some kind of master plan by Blompier. It was a low blow, plain and simple.
That's right. You're welcome.
Adam Blompier directing traffic as Big Damo, our WCPW World Champion, damaging the integrity of that title, in my opinion, with his actions here against the new #1 contender.
Well, we've seen some incredible stuff on this episode of Loaded, from that opening three-way to that epic conclusion. Doug Williams proving he's a man of steel. Aaron Stevens picking up the slot to become the #1 contender, and Big Damo cementing his dominance here alongside Adam Blompier. And Dave, season 2 kicks off with a bang.
WCPW Loaded on the opening night of season 2 ends with Damo and Blompier having their hands held high. But Aaron Stevens will get his shot at the title. For Alex Shane, this is Dave Bradshaw saying goodnight from WCPW Loaded.
Were you one of the unlucky few who couldn't get tickets for July's WCPW tapings? Well, make sure you pick up tickets for August, as they're already extremely limited. On August 24th, we'll be presenting a special live pay-per-view quality show, WCPW Stacked, featuring Moose versus Joe Coffey, the debut of the Women's Championship, Will Ospreay versus Marty Scurll. The WCPW Championship will be on the line. There'll be Joe Hendry, Joseph Connors, Big Damo, El Ligero, Primate, Grado, Drew Galloway, EC3, and GM'd by Eric Bischoff. Not just that, but on the 25th, we'll also be holding Loaded tapings featuring the Kurt Angle Invitational, a pinfall and submission elimination rumble to decide who gets to face the Olympic hero in October. Grab your tickets for August at wc.pw while you still can. The 2 days are looking absolutely stacked. Do you want to see WCPW live but are allergic to the awful people of Newcastle? WCPW is coming to Greater Manchester on Saturday the 8th of October to the Altrincham Silver Blades Arena. Your ticket won't just get you a stat card featuring Cody Rhodes versus Kurt Angle, but will also grant you access to our first ever fan convention during the day. Meet the What Culture guys, have photos with your favourite WCPW wrestlers, a host of other surprises, and VIP members will get to meet Kurt Angle and Cody Rhodes in person. Tickets can be bought at wc.pw.